Hello and welcome to another episode of TalkBack, the show where we ask tough, compelling questions from tough, compelling people. Our guest tonight is one of the foremost voices of right-wing political ideology in Pakistan. He joined the army in 1958 as a young officer in the Armored Corps and culminated his military career as the Director General of the ISI. By all means, he was one of the last commanders of one of the last battlegrounds of the Cold War, a war he claimed to have won for Pakistan in the battlefields of Afghanistan. Some call him a maverick spy master. We call him the director. Lieutenant General Hameed Gul, welcome to TalkBack.
Thank you very much, Wajahat.
You've been called an adventurist, a loose cannon, an intelligence cowboy of Pakistan. How do you respond to that?
Perhaps I am that, yes, because I am ideologically oriented. So there are a number of things that you have to do when you have such an orientation. But whatever I did was in the interest of Pakistan, nothing else, not my interest, it's Pakistan's interest.
Very recently, you were also called an intellectual suicide bomber.
If people are afraid of intellectual assault because they are launching physical assaults, so why should they be afraid of intellectual assaults?
But what do you think of that definition, though?
Good one. I think from that point of view, I won't mind that at all. Yeah.
Okay, this is what was written about you. Let's go back to your last days in the army. This is what was written about you in the dawn on 24th of January. The controversial army general known as the fighting spirit behind the Afghan war against the Soviet Union and believed to be an Islamic fundamentalist deep down was prematurely retired on Wednesday night. This is the 24th of January 92. This is a day or a couple of days after you were prematurely retired. It was also written later on in the Herald, it is unheard of in the army to transfer a soldier actively in war games. To do so with a corps commander, Multan corps commander as you are, certainly went beyond precedent. Why were you retired prematurely?
I think General Asif Nawaz is not there anymore. He would be the best person to answer. He was a friend of mine. But I think something happened. I am not aware. I have never bothered about it. And I never asked him that question because we never met after that, after my retirement.
Well, this is what General Asif Nawaz had to say. On the 7th of February 1992, he lashed out, that's the word used, at you for trying to undermine the exemplary discipline for the Pakistan Armed Forces. This was reported in the Muslim.
Utter nonsense. I wasn't under his command at all at that time when I was retired. I was in the civilian establishment in uniform, which is called the Ministry of Defence Production. So he had no jurisdiction over me. But unfortunately, he prevailed upon Nawaz Sharif, who was then the Prime Minister, and Ghulam Ishaq Khan, who was the President.
It's said, insiders say, that you were not very happy with your new posting, that they were taking you off from an active commanding role of as corps commander of Multan and putting you in the heavy industries at Taxila.
No, I even wrote a letter that if you don't want me as corps commander, it is your prerogative. But I must be given an assignment which is profession related, my profession. I had spent 36 years in that profession.
And what's your profession?
My profession was soldiering, and I was being sent to a factory.
So what about the 3 stars who actually end up doing whatever they're supposed to do at Taxila?
I pity them. Why should they be doing that?
So they're not soldiers?
They end up not being soldiers.
What's that supposed to mean?
That means that the profession for which they have been trained, they are plucked away from that, and they are put in a place where they are misfit, where the civilians...
You were quoted that I don't want to be a general manager of a factory. Isn't that a little gross indiscipline?
How can you say that, gross indiscipline? This is my prerogative.
Because this is what that's what your chief of army staff said, sir.
It's up to him. He's no more. I don't want to comment on a dead man. So let him say what he does.
So let's get this straight.
Yes.
The people who serve there, other 3 stars who serve there, are general managers who you pity. They're not soldiers. But you are a soldier, and you will not take up that position, even though the chief of army staff and the establishment division thinks you should be there.
No, it was not the chief of the army staff. It was the prime minister of the time. Chief executive was the prime minister, and Ministry of Defence was there. And once I was assigned to the Ministry of Defence Production, then it was the job of the Ministry of Defence Production. and I refused to go to the factory.
Don't you think you're setting a bad precedent by saying, all right, guys, I like this posting, I'll take it. I don't like this posting, that's bad work, I won't take it.
You see, now
You're in the army,
there is
you
a
take
practice.
a transfer, you take a transfer.
There are hundreds of generals and brigadiers now being deployed in various civilian departments, vice chancellor of universities and ambassadors. And I was also offered ambassadorial job. I was offered by Ghulam Isa Khan to go in one of the corporations if I didn't like this. I said no.
All right,
I'm a soldier. I would retire rather than go to an establishment like that.
But the rest of those guys aren't soldiers. You pity them.
I don't really approve of their assignment. It's up to their predilection. I have my own predilection. I'm individualistic. I have my own views.
Do you think the army is a place to be individualistic?
Yes, why not? Within the army, look at the British Army, how people have behaved in the past. The individual, they were the trailblazers of the British Empire.
Isn't the army supposed to be about the collective?
Not necessarily that you cease to be an individual. This is your birthright to be an individual. So, within the framework of the discipline, this is your choice, and one has to exercise that freely.
All right, there's also an inside story about your premature retirement, and this is what insiders say, that you were still in touch with the Afghan resistance even though you were now out of the ISI. That was one of the reasons you were being punished, so to say, and punished is in quotes.
Oh, of course, Afghan resistance, who was supporting the Afghan resistance? The government was supporting. They were my friends. Do I cease to be friend of anyone after I have left?
But you were meeting them outside the ambit of your office.
No, meeting means I should cut off their relation. They came, my daughter died in '89 and they all came to call on me. They came in exercise Zarb-e Momin, which I was the chief umpire of and the director of that, chief director of that exercise. They were all invited by the government. They came and they met me and they came to condole with me the death of my daughter to Multan. What's wrong with it?
General, besides
do we cease to be human beings just because we leave a job?
There's not much wrong with condoling the death of your daughter, but if you are meeting these men outside the ambit of your office regularly, because that's what military intelligence reports said.
This is wrong. This is what was contrived to be, that I was meeting them. They came to condole the death of, all came together in a military aircraft because they requested.
You don't think that's indiscipline?
No, not at all. Maintaining relationship with someone after you have left a job, it's perfectly normal. I don't cease to be a human being because I give up a job. It would be an utter lack of character on my part.
Sounds like you're
if I
too
did
individualistic for the army, General.
Maybe
You
because
got your friends on the side. You don't want to do a job which they've assigned to you.
Yeah, because that job was to humiliate me, to take me out of the army's.
Why did they want to humiliate you?
I can't comment on, because the man who should be answering this question is no more in this world. But it certainly was a humiliation.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
The ISI, your playing field.
No, I was there only for 2 years and a quarter.
2 years is a lot of time. All right.
In 36 years, only 2 years and a quarter.
Okay, your relationship with the ISI was a very intense one. You've spoken at length about it. But who Islamized the ISI?
No, Islam, it did not. It is in your constitution. Islam is in your constitution. It was the raison d'etre of creation of Pakistan. Who Islamized the Pakistan Army, which carried the slogan of Iman, Taqwa, Jihad fi Sabilillah on every barrack? Even today, I don't know what's the situation now.
So has the ISI, the question now is, has the ISI done a service to Islam, or has it made, as many say, Islam an enemy of the West?
ISI is only an extension of the army, and army is the extension of the nation. So Islam is embedded in the spirit of creation of Pakistan. It is in the army, and if it is also in the ISI,
but the brand of
there
Islam,
should be no wonder.
But the brand of Islam, embellished via the army, via the ISI, many say, has done a disservice to the religion.
Let them say what they will.
What do you think
we
of
had
that?
A job
you
to
don't
do.
agree with that?
We had a no. I don't agree with that at all. We had a job to do. We had to get a mighty superpower defeated in Afghanistan.